And to discuss the municipal elections in Paraguay this Sunday, we now welcome international analyst Juan Raul Ferreira. Juan, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure and my honor. We're following very closely and with great concern what is going on in Paraguay.
Juan, these elections were postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. What can you tell us about the conditions now for the vote to be held safely, and what are the measures in place to ensure that voters turn out to cast their ballots?
Well, apparently the sanitary situation is correct to conduct an elections. Other countries have had elections under sanitary emergency, like Peru and Chile, when it elected its authorities for the Constitutional Assembly, divided the list of voters in two, and instead of having them on Sunday, they had it all over the weekend. The problem is not the pandemic situation, but rather the political climate, where there is a sensation of waste and taste situation, and the Paraguayan government itself, although no national positions are in jeopardy after the result of the election, the fact of the matter is that this is like a thermometer, somehow a consultation to public opinion previous to the 2023 presidential elections.
Juan, there have been reports of violence, reports of assassinations of candidates. What could this situation say about how the elections are being developed in Paraguay and the conditions for their holding?
Well, as soon as the ballots the places for voting were open, there were allegations from opposition parties about violence, not just physical violence, but shoots, people wounded, taken to hospitals, and there are already allegations, although ballot places have not been closed yet, of fraud. Basically buying votes. There are tents in the entrance of the voting places where voters receive money and are accompanied by somebody, which is totally against the rules of the electoral procedure. The other thing that concerns, I believe, the Paraguayan authorities is a huge number of candidates and the multiplication of political parties. We're speaking about 28 parties, 113 political movements, and more than 120 political alliances and coalitions. This may put also in great risk the leading and hegemonic Colorado party.
Juan, you mentioned this, but what could the results of this Sunday's elections, you're talking about a very complex situation there, what could it show in terms of 2 years ago until a presidential election, but what can we read from the results that we'll have after this Sunday's elections?
Well, as I said, they are electing mayors, city councils, but the main and the most important thing within Paraguay and for observers and countries, neighboring countries of Paraguay, the issue is how popular the ruling Colorado party is and how much waste has it gone through in the past few years. And I think these allegations of fraud and violence show very clearly that there is not a predisposition on the part of the government to concede power. On the region, the result of the election is very important because remember that Uruguay and Paraguay, my home country and Paraguay, are the two countries that are asking for a flexibilization of the rules of Mercosur, which basically means each country can negotiate by its own, and namely this is the death of Mercosur. They have already killed UNASUR. They're going after Mercosur right now.
Juan, very important there what you mentioned about the possible regional implications of these elections. Is the turnout expected to be very high?
Well, the turnout may be very high, and it may also be very difficult to measure the results. And this multiplication of parties and individual candidates presenting themselves under no formal political party makes it more difficult to make the reading. But what we have to look, I think, is the Colorado party maintaining its strong majority, or has it lost weight within the public opinion? This is a generalized analysis that most people within Paraguay and from outside Paraguay. I was speaking this morning with a professor at George Washington University in the District of Columbia who specializes on Paraguay, and she was telling me that not only they are receiving allegation reports too, but the fact that the government will not come out stronger than it went to the election.
Juan Raul Ferreira, thank you so much for joining us today, for offering your insight into these elections that are taking place in Paraguay, municipal elections, which could pose regional, as you said, regional implications. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.